Somewhere along the way, someone told you that you were too sensitive, too emotional, too soft, too easily affected by things that other people seem to just move past. This video is for the ones who feel everything, the ones who notice everything, the ones who have spent years wondering if their sensitivity is something to fix. It isn't. We live in a world that has decided somewhere along the way that hardness is a virtue. The loudest voice has to be the most credible one. That certainty is strength and doubt is weakness. That moving fast and feeling little is somehow more evolved than moving slowly and feeling deeply. And social media has made this much worse. We've managed to build entire architectures of outrage. We now have platforms that reward the most extreme take on something, where you're either completely right or completely wrong, and there's no longer any space in between. Black and white thinking has become the norm. You're either with us or against us. You're strong or you're soft. You're winning or you're losing. And in that climate, in this division and hardness and relentless noise, it's sensitive people who suffer. Not because they are weak, but because they are trying to survive in conditions that were never designed for them. The world looks at a sensitive person and often says, "Toughen up. Stop letting things in. Stop caring so much about things you cannot control." And so you try. You learn to perform a version of yourself that can keep up, that can scroll through the news without feeling it land in your body, that can watch the world get harder and harder and somehow stay completely unaffected. But it costs you something. Every single time. What actually happens when a sensitive person spends years trying to be something that they're not? Because the world doesn't just ask you to toughen up once. It asks you every day. In meetings where you feel things no one else seems to feel. In conversations where you sense something is wrong, but everyone's insisting everything is fine. In a culture that celebrates busyness and productivity and output, and really has very little patience for the person who needs to sit quietly for a moment before they can speak. And so usually you build a performance, a version of yourself that can cope, that can keep up, that doesn't let on how much everything is costing you. And for a while, it works. You function, you manage, and you get through it. But underneath that performance, something is quietly exhausting itself. Suppressing sensitivity doesn't make you less sensitive, but instead, it just makes you more tired. The nervous system of a highly sensitive person is always processing more. More sensory input, more emotional data. There's more awareness of the people and the environment around them. That is not a malfunction, but it does mean that the cost of pretending otherwise is enormous. slow disconnection from yourself becomes more and more apparent. A disconnection from your instincts and your intuition, from that quiet inner signal that's always known, this isn't right for me. And there's also a particular kind of grief for the version of yourself that you keep hiding away. The one who feels things fully, who moves at their own pace, who notices the small, beautiful things that everyone else is just too busy to see. That version of you was never the problem. The performance was. Here's what I want to offer instead. Sensitivity is not a weakness. It has been mislabeled, misunderstood, and mistaken for fragility by a culture that has confused numbness with strength. To feel deeply is to perceive deeply. Sensitive people notice what others walk past. They pick up on the things that aren't being said, the shift in someone's energy, the detail that changes everything. Empathy is not weakness. It's one of the strongest capacities a human being can have. It's what builds genuine connection with someone, what repairs damage, what allows us to sit with someone in their pain without immediately trying to fix or dismiss it. But I think it's really important to remember something, and that's being gentle is not the same as being passive. Being sensitive is not the same as being a pushover. Softness is not the absence of boundaries. It's the presence of them, held with grace rather than aggression. For example, you can be the most empathetic person in the room and still know exactly where your edges are. You can feel everything and still choose what you allow in. Gentleness with a spine is one of the most powerful things a human being can embody. It's far more harder to maintain than hardness, and far more rare. I want to take a moment to talk about what gentle strength actually looks like. Because I think we've been sold a very narrow idea of what courage and power can come across as. Some of the most powerful forces in the world are quiet ones. A tree doesn't demand space to grow, it simply grows. And putting down roots so deep that the storm that would flatten everything around it barely moves it. That is what gentle strength looks like. It's not the absence of power, but power expressed without violence, without ego, without the need to diminish someone else in order to feel 7 foot tall. Think about the people in your own life who have most changed you for the better. The ones who made you feel genuinely seen, who offered you something real when you needed it, who held space for you. I would guess that most of them were not the loudest people in the room. They were the ones who were actually paying attention. Because paying attention is a complete act of love. And in a world where attention has become the scarcest resource that we have, where everyone is distracted, fragmented, and pulled in 101 directions at once. The person who can truly pay attention is offering something priceless. There's a reason I chose the hedgehog for this piece. Small, gentle, unhurried, and completely protected. Not by aggression, not by armor built from pain, but simply by being entirely and unapologetically itself. You can be gentle and still be strong. The two were never opposites. They were always the same thing, just seen from different angles. We are living through a particular kind of hardness right now. A world that feels increasingly binary, increasingly loud, and increasingly unkind in small and large ways. And in that climate, there's a pressure on sensitive people to either harden or stay quiet. To either join the noise or opt out entirely. To stop feeling so much. But I want to offer something different. What if the sensitive people are not the ones who need to change? What if they are exactly what this moment requires? They're simply choosing every single day to be the thing that the world is running out of. And that is not softness. That is one of the bravest choices a person can make. If you are someone who feels things deeply, I want you to take a breath right now. Your empathy is a compass, and it can point you towards the things that matter. Towards connection, towards meaning, towards the kind of life that feels real rather than just functional. And to remain kind when the world has given you maybe every reason not to be. The world is asking you to be less, but I guess I'm asking you to be more. I'm Emma, and this is the Forest Maven.